seriously. Business Watch is brought to you by Nedbank.
Right, 2 p.m. Central African Time. A very good afternoon to you, Maswatla Martin. Welcome to Nedbank Business Watch this Wednesday afternoon. It's going to be a very, very interesting show today as we look at key economic topics in Eswatini that we want to cover some ground on. We will start with public debt management, exploring how Eswatini keeps its public debt at only 36% of GDP and the sustainability of these strategies. We'll also look at the external debt dynamics, assessing the impact of the weakening lilangeni on the economy, as well as measures to mitigate some of the risks that come with that. We'll then discuss the recent 5.8 drop in domestic debt and the central bank's role in this reduction. We also want to review household and the NPISH credit growth and what it indicates really about consumer confidence and economic stability. Inflation trends are next, with a focus on the recent drop to 4.1% and its economic impact. We also want to examine the significant increase in gross official reserves and what this means for Eswatini's economic resilience. The private sector credit growth is another key topic, with robust increases suggesting a positive trend for investment as well as development. But lastly, we are going to get Sanelis B, our economist, who we are going to have all these discussions with. We want to get his outlook on Eswatini's economic future, highlighting some challenges and maybe opportunities for policymakers. So please stay tuned for that insightful discussion. We will also have Nedbank come to shed light on today's financial markets. My name is Sefiso Ngumal and welcome to Nedbank Business Watch once again.
Very good afternoon. My name is Lungelele Makakula. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. We've plenty to talk about on the program today. In January this year, the Minister of Agriculture, Mandla Chauka, lifted the ban on animal slaughter in butcheries. This move came after a public outcry by stakeholders. When making the announcement in January, the minister said the ban will come into effect on the 1st of January this year and be implemented in good faith to reduce health risks to emaswati imposed by meat products, which may be contaminated when animals are not slaughtered in a hygienic way. There are new developments on this issue. The Ministry of Agriculture has extended the time period for the lifted ban on animal slaughter in butcheries to August this year from last month. Businesses under the beef industry say there's still a lot to be done before government can implement the ban, as they are not in a position to build abattoirs and slaughter slabs at the moment. We will have this discussion with our in-house business journalist, Nel Siwe, later on the program. And also today, we're throwing it back to the first interview of the first episode of Nedbank Business Watch on the first week of February 2024. We're joined by Mcebo Masugu, who is an insurance specialist at Nedbank. We'll play it again today due to a lot of clients inquiring about property insurance. So we're going to see what is property insurance and what does it cover. He also answered questions such as what is an insurance excess and how does one make a claim and how long does it take for it to be processed. So do stay tuned. For now, let's take a look at business news.
Transact with Nedbank and stand a chance to win a 5,000 mlangeni trolley dash. To qualify, do any of the following. Tap or swipe your Nedbank card for purchases a minimum number of 10 times in 2 weeks, or send cash to any local cell phone number a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks, or withdraw cash using Nedbank cashback at till at any OK Foods outlet a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. It could be you, so start today. For more information, please visit nedbank.co.nz, call or send us an email. See money differently. Nedbank.
Now, for our first story on our business news, reduced time spent at the border will increase the value in the produce being imported as well as exported by local businesses. This has been said by the Chief Executive Officer of NAMPOD, a government entity, in reaction to the findings of the Oshu-Ngwenya border by the Eswatini Revenue Service and the South African Revenue Service. The study states that it can take about 24 minutes to not more than an hour and 30 minutes to clear goods at these border gates.
As we deal with our stakeholders, that includes the farmers who are producing their produce as well as the importers, because they are all equally our stakeholders. We are going to see an improvement in performance of their businesses, mainly because as they transport their fresh produce in its nature is highly perishable. Therefore, it requires that the time spent by the produce from field to the market must be as minimum as possible. So the farmers were losing a lot of value of their produce with the time that was spent, especially at the border during clearance. So now, as the time has been reduced to this shortest period, it is going to enhance a quick transportation of the produce from the farm gate to the market to maintain the quality of the produce and its freshness. So, and as well as that, we are no longer anticipating the markets to run out of produce, as long as it is now quicker to transport the produce from across the board, both exporting and as well as importing the produce. In the year ended March 31st, 2023, the total value of imports for scheduled products, that is where I will focus on, it was valued a little above 2 billion emalangeni, as well as the value of exports for the same products was valued about 3.5 million emalangeni. We export very less than what we import. So those are the volumes of the produce that are affected in the transportation and the weighing period at the border gates. The highly imported commodities, they are led by potatoes, carrots and onion. Those are always the highly imported commodities year to year, followed by beetroot, tomatoes, and the rest follows in smaller quantities. As well as exports. Exports are led mainly by wheat products and maize. When it comes to fruits, it's banana and citrus. Those take the lead in terms of exports.
The country's total public debt decreased by 2.8% last month, standing at 33.4 billion emalangeni. This is contained in the recent economic developments reports by the Central Bank of Eswatini for the month of March and April this year.
The report further states that public external debt stood at 15.7 billion emalangeni at the end of April 2024, translating to 17% of the gross domestic product, showing an increase of 0.7% when compared to 15.6 billion recorded in March 2024. The increase was due to the slight weakening of lilangeni against major foreign currencies in which the country's liabilities are denominated over the past month. Public domestic debt stood at 17.7 billion emalangeni, an equivalent of 19.1% of the gross domestic product at the end of April 2024. This shows that domestic debt dropped by 5.8% when compared to 18.8 billion emalangeni recorded in the previous month. The fall in domestic debt is largely attributed to government paying off the advance from the Central Bank of Eswatini in the month under review. The report further states that headline consumer inflation further dropped to 4.1% in March 2024, down from 4.3% in February this year. Preliminary data indicates that gross official reserves grew by 25.6% month-on-month and 5.3% year-on-year to reach 9.9 billion emalangeni at the end of April 2024. For Nedbank Business Watch, Nelson Dlangamandla, Vuminkosi Nzinisa Mbambane.
And that's it for our business news. It's 9 minutes after 2. Let's quickly go for an ad break. We'll come back with Mr. Sibia.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
All right, it's 10 minutes after 2. Thank you for staying with us. We are getting into a segment now where we speak to Sanele Sibi, our in-house economist, to cover ground really on some of the key economic developments in the country. Mr. Sibi, a very good afternoon to you. You are joining us via a Zoom link virtually. Let's cover some ground on some of these key economic developments. I want us to start by maybe looking at public debt management. Eswatini's public debt, which is currently at 36% of GDP, and this is below the IMF's recommended threshold of 40%. Could you maybe shed some light on what strategies has the government implemented to maintain debt at this manageable level, and how sustainable are these strategies in the long term?
Good afternoon, Mr. Ngumalo, and good afternoon to the viewer. So what we are seeing is, yes, the government of the Kingdom of Eswatini is really trying to maintain the debt stock at, manageable levels. So that we can attribute to what we have seen happening more especially with driving growth in the country and through some prudency, in terms of the expenditures. And what we've seen in this administration, the current administration and the previous administration was, trying to strike a balance between what you can you can raise in the domestic markets and then try to make sure that, the recurring expenditures of government actually do fit within that limit. And also we've seen, government through the revenue authority, the revenue service, just trying to beef up domestic debt collection. So when that happens, that means we need less of deficit financing. So, if you look at our deficit, it has been on a downward trend for the past 2 or 3 years, only, just bouncing back in this current year. But that is happening against, good receipts in terms of SAC, and, we are striking good growth numbers. So when we are looking at the growth numbers in terms of GDP, that means, we are spreading your debt over a larger base, and then that makes it stay within the manageable limit. So we're seeing this multi-pronged approach by government, trying to contain recurring expenditures and containing the deficit so that we are not financing recurring expenditures with the deficit, also improving, in terms of fiscal prudence, the way government spends the money in terms of when it calls for it, austerity measures do come into play. We've seen, wage freezes, employment freezes within the public service. So that is actually one of the ways in which the government tries to curtail the recurring expenditures. But at the same time, we are seeing rigorous growth driving policies, in terms of the vigorous efforts to try to get FDI into the country, and also the vigorous efforts to really just maintain growth domestically. I mean, we've seen quite a number of initiatives, such as the economic recovery strategy during COVID, that fund that was set up by the government. So all those are the factors that play into a well-managed debt portfolio where, government also allows private sector to lead in certain areas and not be expectant to foot the entire bill. So that reduces the burden on government to continue providing services through the fiscal pairs of the public purse. So that's what we are seeing in the present moment. And also what we're seeing is government really pushing forward to diversify the debt and get, try to now raise debt in markets where it will be dominated on a one-to-one basis so that we do run away from this, the impacts of the exchange rate fluctuations. We just work with, on a one-to-one basis such that the only risk that we then face in that type of dispensation is just interest rate risk. So all those efforts, just trying to balance the risks and the benefits, that is what is working for the government of Eswatini, and also just trying to improve domestic resource mobilization or domestic revenue. So all those efforts are coming into play now. That's what we are seeing.
Though is always sustainability. How sustainable are these strategies?
For me, Mr. Numalo, I always say if you are going to the markets, then you are going sustainably. So you are going for sustainability. And if you are improving domestic resource mobilization through, making sure that business can thrive, and then you are just increasing your tax base. Again, I say that is sustainability. What we need to do as government is to make sure that we are able to always give that support to, to industry so that we are not losing that revenue base. So that is what I can say, the strategies that the current administration is putting into place, raising money through the markets, that is the most sustainable strategy. But what we need on the background, on the backdrop of that as well, Mr. Nimalo, is not to forget to make sure that domestic companies are able to boost production so that our GDPs are always at stable levels. What we need right now is for the revenue mobilization to grow and outpace recurring expenditures in the public pace. And then once we are able to see that, then we'll be able to rebalance the finances and also make sure that we are able to service our debts.
All right, Mr. Sbiya, I'm afraid we have to end our interview here, but we really appreciate the insights. Our network is not really at its best today, but nonetheless, we really appreciate those insights. A lot that we still want to cover with you. Perhaps connect on the next day, or rather next week, and still cover ground. It's key economic developments anyway. They're here to stay, and the country is still on that path of trying to get back into that sustainable path economically. Let's go for a net break. We'll continue with the show shortly.
sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sivile sive sikhulume.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Back, you're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. As mentioned earlier, Guti will be throwing it back today to the first interview of the first episode of Nedbank Business Watch. During the first week of February, we were joined by Mcebo Masugu, who is a property specialist at Nedbank. He was talking about property insurance. We're playing this clip again, Fisa, because a lot of clients have been inquiring, calling in, asking more questions about property insurance. So we decided to play it back. Yeah,
it does make sense if you look at the other products that they then came in to, discuss with us and engage in conversation with us about. You do get, assistance with regards to those other products and services, and that really makes like a perfect synergy, and you really get to access this property, product that they have, and it's really helpful to you. It makes sense. It makes sense.
So during this segment, we talked about what is property insurance and what does it actually cover. I also answered questions such as what is an insurance excess and how does one make a claim and how long does it take for it to be processed. So let's take a look. To Business Watch. Thank you for joining us. Namhla sibuka property insurance, as mentioned. What is insurance, and what is a property insurance as well?
Yes. Thank you, Lulu, for having us. Afternoon to the viewers. I think let's start with defining what's insurance. Insurance, in a very simple term, it's a financial instrument that acts as a safety net. Should a business or an individual suffer losses, it is there to help out in terms of cutting those costs in repairing, whether it's a house, if we property insurance like we're talking to today, if we motor, it's there to assist you should you be in an accident. Excuse me.
All right, so I have suffered a loss. Perhaps there was a storm or there was an accident. Does Nedbank cover that? Does my property insurance cover that?
Yes, Nedbank offer insurance to my clients too. Whether you loan corner namagude, as long as you have that property, we're able to assist you. So property insurance, cover fire. Should it happen, due to whatever the reason is, which would be always investigated. But cover type of damages, including more hailstorm, as you can see these days, whether you to say ashinja. That is also included. Besting pipes, they're also included in there. The accidental damages, should you have someone who's at Jubejani, that is also covered by property insurance.
But there's a process again, nothing for a claim, and I've heard some people complain. Go to now, claim for now, lodge a complaint, and now lodge a claim. When a process lands, sometimes we say, why does it take so long? Take us through the process, and after you lodge that claim.
Yes. Okay. First things first. If now go Celian in book, I always say take pictures, because my pictures will allow a lawyer insurer wako kutashashabone ukuthi okay na ile damage. Ungemi kuze konakala even more or uzulungise. And then contact your insurer as soon as possible. Atosheshe ati ukuthi okay kune claim vele letawukuta. And then also that insurer or your broker or an agent nathi nje silibhanga uyasithinta sikuside kugcwalisa amaform kukusitana ukuthi yini kukuchazela ukuthi yini ledzingekako nani. But normally the pictures, also completing the forms on time, and then also in terms of lokulungisa lendlu, make sure mawene ma quotations adzingeka ufake material yakho ne labor yakho. Uma ngabe nje khona lo muntu lo takulungisela kufuneka kwendele leyo quotation akubhalele phasi ke those type of invoices or whatever if it's labor. Yes, and then in terms of the process itself, my claims it differs again depending on the timing. Ngoba uma ngabe nje kwendeke sehlakalo like boma hailstorm or wind or those type of storms that just happened recently, kubuta banale influx. So siyacela nje ukuthi nisibeketelele when times like that happen. But normally,
influx now,
nje definitely there is an influx. Luckily vele bakhona abantu abakhavekile. So but awusidakala. But ngicela nje ukuthi sikwende as early as possible ukusi-notify. Asifuni ukukhanza ukuthi sosemuve layinini because kudala ukudinga ukuthi ube nebantu labathi appointa insurer ukuthi bayobuka le damage so that ito adjustwa kahle leyo quotation if need be. Ngoba phela kufuneka kubuka ukuthi okay le damage isafakishe kuphi yendeke kuphi and is it part of the policy, which is normal procedure noma ngaya kuphi. Because kufuneka si-avoid ama-fraudulent claims. Phela ungatendela nawe ema-damages ukuthi ufuna kudla umshwalense, which kulicala lelikhulu lelo. They can take it up against you. So ngicela siku-avoid lokho. But ultimately, the appointable assessor who come and take a look at the damages, babuke nalama quotations and talk to the abantu lo tabe bakulungisela to make sure ukuthi vele kulungiswa kahle kude overstate ema prices akhe.
Okay, so speaking of fraud, have you had cases, such cases nje ukuthi mhlambe senende investigations natfola ukuthi no lo mflona vela kalinyalela ugangile noma kusete kwanyalo?
Yes, kwanyalo kusete. But I wouldn't say ukuthi they don't happen in the market. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, but it's twice on the same ukuthi please make sure ukuthi i-claim yakho ma uyifaka because there's a legitimate damage. But we will always look at le kuti vele, is it part of the policy or not? But talk to lo muntu lokusitile.
Okay, so how long do they have to lodge a claim from the time of the incident?
Yes, different insurers have different days, but labanye benda 14 days. So within 14 days of the incident, labanye benda about 30 days. Kitike gubang 14 days in Nedbank. So just make sure you come to us as soon as possible. Just a mere just notification to say I have a claim.
Yeah. So how much does it cost? Kahle kahle ngifuna cover mhlawumbe indlu yami, ngifuna cover imoto yami. Kungibita malini nje, how much do I pay per month?
Yes, it varies. It depends on multiple factors. But the biggest thing when it comes to property finance, gubang le value yalendlu. So kumathatha udid land nje indlu latakhiwe lapho, but awuthi evaluation. Valuation will come with an insurance value. The insurance value would represent how much it would cost for you should you lose the entire building or property, because it will bring back to where you were. So that's the value that is then used as an insurance value. And then bese bayibala from that. So obviously if value you pay higher premiums. If it's a pass, you pay lower ones. But generally, property insurance is way cheaper than car insurance. So may I advise, especially looking at the weather patterns, would be everyone should have a property insurance, especially if you have built yourself a nice, beautiful house. You will need that help should something big happen.
Okay, so do people that own homes on Swazi Nation land benefit from the property insurance ka Nedbank?
Yes, luckily, product ekanjalo ikhona. As a corporate agent, siyakhona kusita ama clients ukuthi akhaveke le makhaya. Gona ke makhaya, the only thing we need is single evaluation report. You just need to take pictures of the property, including market, the fences, the structure itself, the building. And then also usitshele ukuthi wena officer kwecover ngamalini. So I nominate le value yakho. The value that you nominate will act as a limit. So meaning if kusakutaba nemlilo and just like destroy the whole building, the structure of the building, it will limit le nominated value yakho.
Yes. Asise ngifakile insurance ngicalele kubhadala perhaps ngizobhadala about 3-4 months. Sekwendeka mhlambe ingodi umlilo noma storm.
Yes.
Can I still claim?
Oh, definitely. In fact, as soon as your policy is confirmed and you've made that payment in terms of your premiums, you can claim anytime, as long as your incident is within your policy period, which will be noted on your policy document.
Okay, so what tips do you have or important information that you would like to share with our viewers? Maybe the importance of reading policy documents. Before signing, you go through the policy.
Yes, I think that's a very important one. I always say, try to ask as many questions as possible. You find that at times, you're insurance or they're doing insurance for a loan reason or whatever. So, no loans of insurance. And they don't ask the critical questions and you can't say, insurance, but they don't understand it. So, ask as many questions as you can. And always read your policy documents. It happens so many times with my clients when they get my documents, bang our phones. And then come claim stage, saying can you suspend the cars because highlight, I'll highlight you, good okay, now gonna look for but ultimately the terms and conditions are in your policy document. You need to go through it and understand it.
All right.
Yes.
I-clients zidakala kanjani if bafuna kutagini, to sign up, what are your contact details?
Yes, Nedbank inema branch lamanengi Eswatini. Me I'm based Lambabane head office, but I do visit them our branch in Etfu. But we do have a master's consultant in our branch in Etfu. Talk to them; they will assist you in terms of getting your quotations done, having a look at what you can cover yourself. And also, you can always email us at our helpdesk helpdesk@netbank.co.z or ushayele 2378 1999. Ultimately, of course, you can on Facebook, or Twitter, and LinkedIn. Just search for Nedbank Eswatini, hit subscribe or follow, and always interact with us. We appreciate my engagement from clients.
Yeah. And of course, all right, so there you have it. Hopefully your questions have been answered. That was Mcebo, who is a property insurance specialist at Nedbank Eswatini. But if you still have more questions, do contact them via social media or visit their branches countrywide.
I think if my questions lungelele my questions were ukuthi le mali sebatayithola nini noma le leyo insurance leyo tabasikhathi lesingakanani kufuna bafike nini, which Mcebo has just told them ukuthi social media batholakala kuphi na kuphi. But I think lokumqoka kakhulu lokuthokotisako ukuthi kude umuntu ongafuni kuba ne peace of mind nje kwathi ukuthi I have financial protection first and foremost. I have peace of mind. No, the value of my property, that kind of investment protection is quite key. Yeah, because just like he said, anything could happen. Theft, gungasha, anything to your property. But that peace of mind, should that happen, Nedbank has my back.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, do contact them. Number of Vakashele branch abo countrywide. Let's go for an 8 breaks. Tabuya na Nelsiwe to discuss Sitori Saga Agriculture.
Transact with Nedbank and stand a chance to win a 5,000 Emalangeni trolley dash. To qualify, do any of the following. Tap or swipe your Nedbank card for purchases a minimum number of 10 times in 2 weeks. Or send cash to any local cell phone number and minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. Or withdraw cash using Nedbank cashback at till at any OK Foods outlet a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. It could be you, so start today. For more information, please visit netbank.co.sz, call or send us an email. See money differently. Nedbank.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sifile sive sithi khulumeni.
Welcome back. You're still watching Nedbank Business Watch. Thank you for staying with us. The Ministry of Agriculture has extended the time period for the lifted ban on animal slaughter in butcheries to August this year from last month. Businesses under the beef industry say there's still a lot that needs to be done before government can implement the ban, as they are not in a position to build abattoirs and slaughter slabs at the moment.
Minister extended the time for up to the end of August. Meanwhile, we want to start the engagements that the Honorable Minister sent us to work on, which is issues like what is stopping our farmers from, or maybe butchery owners from having their own slaughter places. We want to assist them to that extent. It's not a simple situation. Businesses are very complex. We realize that the main reason for stopping butchery owners from slaughtering outside abattoirs was twofold. The first one was that we wanted to make sure we control the situation of stock theft, and the other one was that we wanted to make sure that all health issues are taken care of. Food safety is a big concern for the ministry. So what has happened now, the butchery owners have gone back for a while to the way we were working before, or the status quo that we had before. We are hoping that by the end of August, we would have identified all challenges and tried to sort them out, because that is when we will then begin to enforce again that the butchery owners do their slaughtering in abattoirs or hygienically accepted places. One challenge that we had, we didn't have exactly representatives that would represent the three stakeholders. These are the farmers, butchery owners, and abattoir owners. Maybe there was a bit of representation from the farmers, which we were consulting with, and then also the butchery owners, and then also the abattoirs. But this time it affects all three stakeholders. So we wanted to make sure that all three stakeholders get the opportunity to contribute to the best method or best way in which we could serve the public.
Right, so that's the Principal Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture, Mr. Sidney Simelane, speaking on the extension of the ban that was lifted by the Minister, Mandla Chauka. I'm now joined by our business journalist, Nelsiwe Nhlanga Mandla, to shed more light on the story. Actually, Nelly, welcome. Thank you for joining us once again. Perhaps firstly, Loguti, for the ban to be initiated, what concerns were raised, probably by stakeholders or the public as a huge concern ban?
Thank you so much, Longelele. Ngivusele nembukele ekhaya. Uke wayi-highlighta kancane PS indzaba yekuthi one bafuna kwenta sure ukuthi the environment lapho khona leto tinkhomo tihlatshelwa khona nguleyo lehlobile. Sikhumbule phela ukuthi isikhathi lesiningi leto tinkhomo letihlatshwako tiphindze tithengiselwe emabhizinisi lamanye njengemahhotela, so kuyadzingeka ukuthi kube safe. Lokunye lokube khona indzaba yekuthi bamfula abaningi la even besokhanza ukuthi sive sesilahlekelwa tinkhomo taso kakhulu. I'll make an example nje lekhona kuma reports ukuthi from 2023 going backwards ukhanze ukuthi tinkhomo letilahlekile tila kubo 8,000 lokungu 36 million, around 36 million imali nase sikubisa ngasetimalini balimi laba nomeke sive lesisemakhaya lokhanza ukuthi umuntu utibekele tinkhomo takhe but ke so khanza ukuthi setebiwe. So this is government's way of tracking kwekuthi ngabe lenkhomo lena ngoba phela kunabo mapasi nakachaza PS ukuthi kunelipasi lekumele ukuthi uthi nangabe leyo nkhomo soyihlabile usho ukuthi wo kunenkomo lesuke sibayeni sakuphi ube nani ma documents ukuthi ngiyihlabe nini. So government is trying to create a track list kungakhanze maswati sekalahlekelwa tinkomo but kungateki vele lokuthi mbamba tishona kuphi.
Yeah, nele before ngubudo ukuthi bekutoba le mata kanganani bosama business kube le ban ya initiate, but ngifuna nje sibuke ukuthi what interventions hulumende la wendako to try and solve le ndzaba lena yekwebiwa kwatinkomo.
Ngiyabonga kakhulu Lungelele. So la kwendile uhulumende sibonile ngeminyaka wanga 2014 lapho khona asayine isivumelwano nelive leNingizimu Afrika lapho khona bekubukwa ukuthi engabe lamave lamabili angasenda indlela tiphi ukuthi asitane kwekuthi mangabe kuyatholakala ukuthi kule mingcele kukhona kuganga lokukhona lamave abambisane. Uphinze uhulumende ngeminyaka wanga 2015 wasayina isivumelwano nelive leMozambique lapho khona nakhona bekulokubuka ukuthi lamave awabambisane kuqinisekisa ukuthi akubi khona lokuganga because sekubonakele kakhulu ukuthi leti inkomo tebiwa la eveni diye ngale kulamave lamabili, so government is really trying to ensure ukuthi lokhu akuchubeki nekwendeka.
Yeah, so vele bebatole imali kangana nje bafuyi bethu inkomo if le ban vele initiative ngalo 1st January this year?
What government is emphasizing is that we are not trying to push the small businesses out of the market. What we are trying to do, we are trying to ensure ukuthi lapho khona bathengisa khona noma lapho basebenta khona yindzawo le safe. So bayasho bona bosomabhizinisi njengoba sikhonile ukuthi nabo sikhulumisane nabo udawuva ukuthi uyachaza Mr. Dlamini ukuthi Gutasilimata vele because we are not ready. So bona they are saying we are not ready. We need government to help us with building the abattoirs. Government has said, okay, if you can't be in a position to build the abattoir, rather build a slaughter slab. But the business people are saying we are not even ready for that because kufuneka bona bo environment assessment, so it's going to be expensive for us.
Yeah, so vele dineng leti mbe hulumende kumele attend before I affect le ban njengoba nje atawuchaza nje Mr. Dlamini ukuthi vele there's still a lot to be done by government before I initiate le ban.
There's still a lot. The principal secretary says awasiko maningi vele ma abattoirs la khona la eveni ngoba nesa wahlanganisile onke ukhanza ukuthi around less than 20 ganzi lapho sekungene ma private abattoirs labathi bosoma business. You can't tell me to go to a private abattoir because ukhanza ukuthi la ma private abattoirs ngulapho lokhanza ukuthi lo muntu lone private abattoir naye une business unaso silaha, so ngathi ngani ukuthi mhlambe nangishiye leyo nkomo yami ngidawukhona ukuthi angikhanze angayishintshisi. So uthi ke hulumende nyalo lo sekutawendeka kwekuthi as the ban iliftiwe ile lift ichubekile mhlambe to August kwekuthi bosomabhizinisi asebanikwe isikhathi. The negotiations are ongoing. Sekukhethwe naleli bandla lokubuka ukuthi labo somabhizinisi laba vele bangasidakala kanjani because masikhumbula kahle i-beef value chain is growing in the country, contributing about 2.9% emnothweni welive according to the World Bank private sector studies semnyaka wa 2022. Ngendeka kube seyikhulile nyalo ngendeka kube seyehlile, but i-ministry is trying to ensure ukuthi labo somabhizinisi bagcina sebayakhona nabo kwekuthi sebangakhona phela ku-exporter, but kule simo lesikhona nyalo vele ukhanza ukuthi bahlaba noma ngikuphi lokwenda ukuthi kube bede nabo food safety.
Yeah, I recall Nelly when nabayimemetela le ban, there was a public outcry just before the minister lifted the ban. Lokunyalo ke sekubile sebahlaba khona kuma butcheries. How's the situation njanyalo vele kibo bosoma business under the beef industry?
Kwanyalo vele basahlaba lapho bahlaba khona. Ngikhulumile nawe ma stakeholders in the beef value chain. Ngaphinze ngase sengikhuluma nalomunye nje somabhizinisi lo ngiyena mhlawumbe lo usesemncane usakhula but ungenile lana uthi vele yena uthi kumcokwa vele lokuthi na usaqala uvele uyilandzele yonke lemithetho because uthi yena mina nje ngangita ngitongena edolobheni, so vele the municipal council required ukuthi angilandzele onke lama procedures. So there are just differing views kulendzaba ya hulumende, there are differing takes, but we are hoping ukuthi kutawugcine kusothekile because selikhona leli committee na hulumende naye uthi ready ukuthi kukhulunyiswane ukuthi labo somabhizinisi bangagcini sebaphuma emakethe, because the feeling that I'm getting from the stakeholder representative ngiko kona lokuthi it's like they are being pushed out of business and government is saying no, we are trying to ensure food safety.
All right, thank you so much, Nelly. Let's take a look at the next clip. So we are focusing on go extendwa go lift ban ye animal slaughter.
this was more or less of a surprise to us. We were not really ready. And I think the industry is not saying that we shouldn't slaughter animals in an abattoir. But the industry is saying that we should sit down, look at the number of abattoirs that are there, see if we can be able to slaughter an abattoir. And government must also help us, because an abattoir, in a way, it's a function that you might not make that much money from it, yet it's expensive to establish. At the same time, when we're going to slaughter into an abattoir, there are other things that we have to make sure that they are done or planned for. For instance, if you are establishing an abattoir, you need an environmental impact assessment, because you need to know how are you going to dispose the waste that will be generated there. And some of the waste is blood. And blood can be contaminated, and then during summer, the rainfall can run that blood down to the stream, and people down the streams who are drinking that water, they might be contaminated with some of the public health diseases. We're not opposed to slaughtering our cattle, butchery slaughtering in abattoir, but we need to have those abattoirs within reasonable range. And we need these abattoirs to make sure that they can have environmental impact assessment, because if they don't have that environmental impact assessment, I'll go and slaughter my cow there. But from the public health diseases that are maybe a result of waste and so forth, I will bring it back to my butcher. The meat will be healthy. There will be no problem for me, but me going there from my shoes, I might step to some of these diseases and I bring it back here. And that will contaminate my meat. And then I might be spreading a disease without knowing. So what we are saying is that how can government assist us in trying to make sure that we have got enough abattoirs, and these abattoirs are also have health conditions up to a level that is good. And also, these abattoirs, they should not be also competing in the industry, because those which are competing in the industry, they are abattoirs, at the same time they run a butcher. Now, if you go to that abattoir, which is also running a butcher, then you have got issues of, conflict of interest, because that abattoir, if it sees that you're coming with a good cow and it doesn't have, how would you know that he doesn't or she doesn't change your cow and give you someone else? Because when they slaughter the cow, we are not there.
All right, so that was Mr. Emmanuel Dlamini, who's a livestock farmer, who says there's still a lot to be done before the animal slaughter ban comes into effect. Let's go for an air break. Siabuya khona manje.
Digital helps you make cross-border payments. Human gives you global specialists. Digital allows you to apply for a loan anytime, anywhere. Human connects you to credit experts. Digital puts you in control of your money, while Human connects you to wealth advisors. Digital allows you to freeze, unfreeze, cancel, and reorder your card. Human gives you that personal touch. Digital when you want it. Human when you need it. Get the complete private banking experience with Nedbank Private Clients.
Ujala masoda mahle kunathi lesa.
Sabatandi ukuthi njengalokhu sivile sive sithi khulume.
Transact with Nedbank and stand a chance to win a 5,000 Emalangeni trolley dash. To qualify, do any of the following. Tap or swipe your Nedbank card for purchases a minimum number of 10 times in 2 weeks. Or send cash to any local cell phone number a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. Or withdraw cash using Nedbank Cashback at Till at any OK Foods outlet a minimum number of 5 times in 2 weeks. It could be you, so start today. For more information, please visit nedbank.co.nz, call or send us an email. See money differently. Nedbank.
Welcome back to the program. Let's get into our financial segments. We look at today's market analysis with Toba Kameza, the Treasury Sales Manager from Nedbank Eswatini. Welcome to the program, Toba. We'll look at the foreign exchange, we'll look at commodities, and then we'll close it off by looking at equities. We are seeing increases today with regards to the exchange rates against major currencies. What is, contributing to that?
Right, thank you, Swiso, and good afternoon to the viewers. So today, the rand is weakened. We received stats this morning on the inflation numbers for April. Inflation in South Africa fell, I think, 0.1% from 5.3 to 5.2. Right. There's then knocking a bit of strength on the rand. Against the dollar, it's at 18.2025. Against the euro, it's at 19.7213, and the pound at 23.1665.
What are we expecting today? There's announcements that we should be expecting today, right? That should affect it as well.
Yes. So in the U.S. today, we expect the Fed to publish its minutes of its last meeting, right, where investors are looking at clues of what they are likely to do with their interest rates going forward. So the market is sort of anticipating to see what that is going to look like.
Yeah. Gold prices have decreased in commodities. Similarly, Brent crude oil prices have fallen by 0.82%. What are the drivers behind these movements?
All right, so I'll start with gold, trading at $2,413.52 per ounce. Gold has actually been doing quite well. I think this week on Monday, it actually reached a record high at 2,450, but it's sort of losing a bit of that strength, one, because of the stronger dollar that we are seeing today, and also it's more on demand as well. And I think that also ties to Brent crude as well, trading at $82.20 per barrel. That is largely driven by demand. Inflation pressures are not easing as much as the market would like to see. So demand for crude oil is decreasing.
Maybe as we look at that downward trend on crude oil, 0.82% decrease, what could be the potential benefits or challenges maybe that could be faced by our economies in terms of energy costs and maybe economic stability?
All right, so if the price of oil goes down, then it means for emerging currency holders, buying crude oil will cost less. So it means that the cost of oil and gasoline will probably then also be lower than what we've been seeing. But a lot of things are at play, the exchange rate being one of them, and all other factors. But I think for consumers, it is a good indicator.
Okay, let's look at equities. The S&P 500 as well as the JSE All Share Index. Those are the two equities that we want to look at right now. The S&P 500 is on the green, as we can see on the screen, by 0.25%. How do you interpret these?
All right, so the S&P 500 is doing well, and it has been, I think, for the last couple of weeks. As indicated previously, we are think we've just closed or near the end
Yeah.
of the first quarter reporting cycle for most of the companies in the US. So most of the companies have been reporting very strong performance for the first quarter. So hence their shares have shot up. I think this afternoon, or rather this evening, we expect NVIDIA to also publish their numbers. That's the third largest institution by market capitalization on the Wall Street.
Okay.
So the market is expecting them to also perform very well. That's driving the strength that we're seeing of the S&P 500.
Slight decrease on the FTSE, 0.09.
Yes. So it's just slightly. I would attribute that to the inflation numbers in in Britain.
Right.
So I think, it will be today. Today they released the inflation numbers for April, and it did not go down as much as the market would or was anticipating. That's meaning that rates will probably be higher for longer, and investors are then going to be putting their money on that rather than on riskier stocks.
Yeah, then the decline on the JSE All Share Index, how might that maybe affect investor confidence?
So I think it's a lot of things. When you look at the South African economy right now, there's quite a lot of uncertainty. We have elections coming up next week, and all of that. So I think investors are just cautious, basically, in what they put their money in, just waiting to see how things are going to pan out, and then probably make informed decisions after that.
Toba, thank you so much for joining us on the program. Very brief, but quite a mouthful, and I think it is going to provide a lot of insights to Babugel Bethu, Nedbank Business Watch. Asibahlele market esitawubuya sivala ihlelo. Right, it's only 4 minutes before Gubumbana Insimbi Satu. Thank you so much for staying with us on this episode of Nedbank Business Watch. Do join us again next week, same time, same place. From myself and Mpombeni, have a lovely afternoon and an even better evening. Bye-bye.
Make better money choices. Choose a bank that takes your money seriously. Business Watch was brought to you by Nedbank.
Bushfire is back.
Bring your fire to MTN Bushfire in Eswatini